Hello. So I would like to take the time to analyze a pretty important set from the UU Snake Draft tournament that's going on. The link to the threads would be in the description for those who are interested. It's my first big win on a player of this caliber of the tier. Torchic's easily top 5 level at the moment. And I think there are a bunch of interesting moments, things affected by both luck and I think misplays on both of our end, that could make this an interesting topic for new players getting into the tier and analyzing where they might find flaws. And I think it's just overall interesting replays in general. Going to be trying this format for my future videos down the road. So to start off, I have an unusual lead with the intention of punishing Torchic's common Hypno usage round 1 of a match, but he didn't work out because he used Cadaver, which he doesn't usually use, which is pretty bad for me because it puts me on the back foot. However, I know from watching his replays and practicing with him, since he is one of my common practice partners, that he is okay with Cadaver taking paralysis in sleep, which means here he's not afraid of just applying status to an incoming Hypno, because he's able to apply chip onto my Hypno with Seismic Toss, and because it's okay with it taking status, there's not much risk on his end. So, I can simply switch out to Hypno here, let it take status, and we're gonna trade. He's gonna do chip, and I'm gonna do Hypnosis. Me personally, I would switch in Hypno, because I think Hypno has more chances to wake up, and is bulkier, so is more susceptible to pressure, while Cadaver is pretty frail, and has deceptively low chances to wake up, especially versus Persian, who I've been known to use a lot, and rank it pretty highly. But, either way, this is a pretty standard play for someone who plays like he does. He's going to switch to Hypno, which is fine, because if he does want to wake up Cadaver, he can't really take much chip, because it is very frail. I make a questionable play where I switch to Tentacruel to try to apply some wrap chip onto the Hypno, and I can possibly, after some wraps, pivot out to something threatening like a Haunter, threaten Explosion, and then try to punish predictable plays, which is fine, but I think I chicken out here, fearing a wrap miss, because I think it happened in a friendly earlier that day. So I end up going back to Hypno, which is very bad of me, because now it means he's going to get a free Seismic Toss. Because once you're below 50, you only need 1 or 2 wraps to get into the range of a Surf, a Persian / Kangaskhan Body Slam, whatnot. I actually think he might already be in Kangaskhan Hyper Beam range here, and Torchic's very high on Kangaskhan. So, pretty poor play on my end. I think it causes a lot of the reason why I lose this game. So we're just going to trade here. I try to get some chip in. It means it takes less wraps for me to kill it, but that just means I sacked my Hypno at a pretty poor time. But yeah, here, I try to make use of the Seismic Toss, try to chip it down. Yeah, you don't want it, he's aware, he doesn't want to take too much chip because it's a main defensive backbone of the team. So here, I switch in Electabuzz and try to force it out, and then I go back to Tentacruel so I can just apply more free pressure, because if you keep switching in Tentacruel I can freeze it, or I can just get some good chip in, whatnot, because I have a Persian in the back, so getting that chip on Tentacruel so I can 2-hit KO it for free is pretty valuable. But he reads my over prediction and just gets free damage. Either that, or he didn't want his Hypno to get chipped, so he was fine with the Tentacruel taking damage, because perhaps he knew I would not Thunder Wave and would instead only Thunderbolt, because I'd want a Thunder Wave in case it brings in Cadaver or Hypno. I'm not actually sure. Completely sure. I would have to talk to him another time, because we do practice a lot. I'm gonna get a Blizzard here, try to freeze it. He's gonna try to chip me. A lot of these older players you notice will go for Wrap in the Ditto. I and a bunch of newer players like Foops will go for Freeze Wars pretty consistently. Just a little difference in play. So you'll see players like Torchic, Ebola, Lush, they'll go for more of the Wrap and the Ditto, while me, Foops, Volk will go for more Blizzards. There's a Blizzard, I'm assuming because after I get hit with a Blizzard, I'm in range for a Kadabra Psychic. It's also a good chance because I think he knows I'm going to Wrap there to try to preserve my health, so it's a free chance to Blizzard. Or he wanted to catch a potential switch-in of some kind and get a free freeze chance. I don't know. But yeah, either way, misses the Blizzard, I get the Wrap, I bring in Persian because it's a safe 2-hit KO. This is great because Kadabra dies to a slash here, or it takes 80% from a slash and then it's basically dead because it can't take anything. So this is just free slash for me, I'm applying free pressure. Here, this isn't going to be important now, but later in the set, this is going to be emblematic of some really early set conditioning. Because what's going to happen is I'm going to bring in Haunter, because if it body slams, then I come in for free. If it earthquakes, I'm still able to tank it, and then they're going to switch to Kadabra because they're going to want to take it, the predicted explosion. I'm going to be with a Nightshade, and yeah, free damage from me. However, later in the set, you'll notice that when the same situation pops up, they take advantage of that, and they use counter, which a countered Persian slash from Kangaskhan kills most things, especially Haunter, since it has poor physical defense, which is great since it enables his Kangaskhan because it can body slam without fear. But this game, it goes unpunished. I'm able to get free damage from Haunter. Between Sleep and 2 Nightshades, it's already put up a lot of work for me. Or sorry, Threaten Sleep and Nightshade, it's put up a lot of work for me. But yeah, I come in because this is the safest switch in. Misses Wrap, I land Wrap. I bring in Electabuzz because it's pretty free here, because even if he goes Hypno, this is great because I get to apply free damage and get it into Persian range. Sadly, I don't get the crit or the full parry here. If it did, I would probably just win due to the offensive pressure I now have. But because I don't, this is going to be paired, meaning it's outsped by Kangaskhan Earthquake, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm going to go Aerodactyl to try to help support that, because if it Earthquakes like it was going to, I'm immune to get a free switch in. Going to try to burn it with Fire Blast, it also just does good damage. Don't get to burn it. Tentacle comes in to tank a Blizzard, but Kangaskhan reads it with a Body Slam. Thankfully, it doesn't freeze, or para, sorry. Here, this is great for me, because now that means one Wrap will put it into Surf range. We're both at that point. Thankfully, I win the speed tie, because I'm a haxy little bitch. This comes in. This is pretty alarming to me, but I don't realize it later, because my Haunter is low, and my Electabuzz is paired, which are my two main threats to this Vaporeon, which means that outside of some luck, it's going to be really hard to break through this thing with how low my team is. This is actually going to be the win con for Torchic here, because I'm not going to be able to break through at the end game, because both of my threats are so frail, while Kangaskhan and Vaporeon are bulky. But I don't think about that. I bring in Haunter, they bring in Tentacruel, force more damage on my Tentacruel. Thankfully, I tank it, and I'm able to win the speed tie again. Here, he tries to Rock Slide to hit my Aerodactyl for good damage. I sack my Tentacruel to it, because I don't need it right now, because its main purpose in all of this would be to compete with his Tentacruel, so now that it's gone, it's unnecessary, and I'd rather have my own Aerodactyl. Here's a misplay. I should have brought an Aerodactyl, because it's faster to apply pressure, and use Persian as my endgame, but instead I used Persian as my wall breaker and Aero as my endgame, which is pretty unfortunate because Arrow is a defensive tool with offensive pressure rather than an offensive tool like Persian is. And you see it here where I don't get the speed drop from Bubble Beam, and then I click slash, tanks the Kadabra, and yeah. This is pretty annoying because he's gonna crit here. My Electabuzz is dead. One issue with it being paired, like I said earlier, is now it just dies, which makes Vaporeon even harder to break through. This comes in, Explosion trades with Dugtrio, meaning I have very few tools to break through the Vaporeon here, because it's so bulky. Gonna see that here. I make a dumb play again, I Fire Blast, it tanks it. I should have just Double Edged, because a Double Edge on the Kangaskhan puts you in slash range, so it's fine, and if it crits like it does in the next turn, then Vaporeon's in a good range to die. See what happened here? Vaporeon doesn't get the crit or the full para, meaning I take the Surf. I kill the Vaporeon, but now this Kangaskhan is not in slash range, so I have to pray for a Thunderbolt cheese. I don't get it, and I lose. So I think this shows the importance of that even if you win the neutral interactions in the beginning of the game, and I had all the advantages here, you really have to be careful with your endgame plays. You have to, I think, stay consistent, because here there are multiple opportunities where I could have took it, but because I made questionable play, I just dropped it. So not feeling too good. Next game, I don't want to get punished in the lead like I did, up front like this. So I'm just gonna go safe Hypno, which is great because he's also leading Hypno. Go for Hypnosis again. One thing to think about if you're facing somebody who lets Kadabra take status like this is that another alternative could be to just Thunder Wave here and possibly preserve your sleep for Hypno later, because if you notice throughout this game and this game, I'm letting his Hypno stay pretty bulky and not have much threatening him for a lot of it. So just trying to take out the Kadabra in other ways and hyper-focusing on getting that sleep on the Hypno could have been a better play here. But I also value Kadabra as an offensive threat more than a lot of people seem to, so I'm naturally scared enough, so I go ahead and just sleep it. We see here, I go ahead and just Psychic. I don't want to get punished for overreading with a Tentacle Switch like last time, which I saw just didn't work out well for me, so I'm just going to go ahead and get consistent damage. Any more chip on this Kadabra and it just dies to any Persian /2. Hypno comes in, do another Psychic. Crit and Special Drop is great for me. Because now this is a very deadly percent. You're dying to a Surf because of the Special Drop. A little bit of Rap Chip, you're dying to Persian. These two Psychics are basically done for. And I win this game because, in general, if you have more healthy Psychics than your opponent, you can generally win. Because the best checks to them are themselves, and they're threatened so hard offensively that you end up just getting a lot of free momentum. Gonna see here I force a rest. I get full parried. I was gonna try to Psychic again, hopefully get like another Special Drop, but didn't work out. I bring in Tentacruel because now it's gonna die to Surfs. Brings in Tentacruel, meaning I get free damage on the Tentacruel. Get another crit, even better because now you're dying to a Dugtrio Earthquake. Switch out to Hypno because I don't want my Tentacle taking all that chip, because if you're at a high enough percent, you can tank Dugtrio Earthquakes, making its sweeps a lot less safe. So you want to try to preserve that as much as possible. So I bring in Hypno. There's my Dugtrio. It misses, which is great, because now I don't have to take chip, and I get a free Earthquake here. I know Torchic really likes Dragonite, and I know this is going to switch out. So I go ahead and use a substitute, which I brought, because now I can Toxic for free. Meaning I neutered its Agilirap. Bring in my Hypno, which can tank any of its attacks fine. Brings in its Hypno. I was going to try to Psychic again and hopefully take advantage of some more crits and whatnot. Didn't get it, but it's fine. I'm already at a really big advantage right now. There's my Tentacruel. I want to Wrap Chip it some, and then I can put it into Dugtrio range, perhaps. But, as we're about to see, get some good crits here for good damage, but yeah, but it ends up switching out because he doesn't want his Hypno to get chipped like that. So that means this isn't going to be in a good range to just cleanly KO just yet, which means it's just going to be pesky for the rest of the game. Another reason why trying to get this thing slept as early as possible is really essential. But this is fine. I'm just going to trade with this Tentacruel for now. Try to freeze it. The Hypno takes it, which is great, because now I could just bring in Dugtrio and kill it, but I end up missing the Wrap, and it's now paired. I'm still pretty comfortable right now, because even though Tentacruel's paired, which is normally bad, between a Hypno that's nearly dead, a Kadabra that's slept and chipped, a 63 Tentacruel, and a Toxic Dragonite, that's more than enough to trade with my Tentacruel. I feel like I'm still at the advantage. Especially when I have a sleep blocker like this, which gives me a good advantage. He rests. I'm going to go ahead and Psychic. This time I get the crit and the special drop again. Great for me. I'm going to bring in Articuno to threaten with Blizzard. Vaporeon comes in. I don't get the freeze, which is fine. Going to bring back in Tentacruel since it can take whatever Vaporeon leads out pretty well. Gets the crit, but it's not too impactful. Hypno takes more punishment. I full para because I wanted to Surf here or potentially Rat Pivot out, but I didn't get to do either. I think I clicked Surf for the damage to put it in Dougie range, but I'm not completely sure. Either way, I don't get to do it. Hypno comes in, it's fine. I know it's most likely Psychic because I can tell from this that this is definitely a sleeper, and sleeper Hypnos don't usually run Seismic Toss. This is potentially pretty annoying if I got full parried, but I didn't, which is good. And you use an 8 to free 25. This doesn't get the Psychic either, pretty just unfortunate. But I get to trade with Dugtrio. I'm not running Aerodactyl this time, so this is the play. Yeah, he wants his Dugtrio to stay alive to be able to threaten Articuno and Tentacruel, so in this case he just kills the Kadabra. This gives me a good opening, because I have substitute Dugtrio too, so I just get a free sub here. Free sub means it's deal at Rock Slide, it crits, great, I don't have to worry about the Dragonite anymore. He is going to want to preserve this to pivot around Earthquake, so he's just going to stack the Kadabra. And now we're both down one Mon. However, the Mons he's dropped and the Mons I've dropped, I'm in a better situation here because I have more like fast offensive threats than he does, and more offensive threats in general because his Dragonite's basically dead, his Dugtrio can't take any hits, and he has no Kadabra. I have a Persian, I have a half Dugtrio, and I have a Kadabra in the back, and Articuno and Tentacruel. I'm gonna go and just trade here, because my Dugtrio isn't especially useful, and this damage on Vaporeon is going to be essential, so that my Articuno and my Persian don't have to worry about it, because 2 Blizzards will kill this Vaporeon, so it's not checking art anymore. So this is fine. I bring in Persian, nothing's taking Slash well, in this case the Dragonite's dying. Now I can't pivot. Dugtrio dying meant that he didn't have to pivot on Earthquakes anymore, so it's fine to sack. I'm gonna bring in Tentacruel, because I don't really need it, and because I can threaten this with my Kadabra in the back and just trade with it, but I don't want it to take the para, because that makes it potentially unable to fight Dugtrio, because if, for example, I tried a T-Wave trade, he could bring in the Dugtrio, and I could be potentially screwed. So I'm just going to sack Tentacruel here. Yeah, now I'm just going to ward this thing. I don't know why he T-waved here, because there was no reason for me to switch out, because the seismic toss kills here. Maybe he thought I was going to read a rest, but he also shouldn't rest here, because, well, obviously. So, kind of a misplay on his end, I think. I don't think it was too impactful, but either way. Wrap chip. I bring in Persian. It's the beginning of the end. I think I could have potentially played this whole endgame out a little bit better, because, I'm just gonna see, I'm gonna go and just kill the Tentacruel. Yeah, so we see here, I Thunderbolt because Slash doesn't kill, and I have the potential to crit or full pair with this, but doesn't kill. Now, I do win, but since both are slower, if he didn't start missing wraps, he could potentially chip me until killing with Dugtria. But, so this could have been his if he landed it. However, he doesn't, so he just loses now, because everything is KO'd by either a normal move or a Blizzard. So going into game 3, I'm not terribly comfortable because my win had some bad RNG for Torchic at the beginning. So I'm just going to go ahead and use a team I'm comfortable with, which is my game 1 team, but I don't want to risk a bad lead matchup again. So, like I said in game 2, which is why I went Hypno. So I'm going to use the team but go Hypno again because it's a safe lead. Like, this hasn't failed for me ever, because there's not many bad lead matchups for it. With the exception of RBYPL, where Volk reads that and goes Venusaur lead. But I'm not too worried about him doing that again, of Torchic doing that, so this is fine. Make a pretty bad play by T-waving here, because, well, not a bad play, but it turned out bad, because I was gonna predict another one of his Kadabra switch-ins, but instead he just takes the parrot and sleeps me. This is good, free sleep turn burn. But, so I burn 2 sleep turns, don't wake up. He's gonna seismic toss, which tells me that it's a weird set, because Hypnosis and seismic toss aren't usually run, because it means you usually have to drop either T-Wave, Rest, or Psychic, and Psychic, T-Wave, and Rest are all pretty undroppable moves usually, so you run one or the other. I know from past experience that Torchic drops Psychic on these sets. It's a little weird, but that is what he does. So, I don't know. But, so I do know here he has no Psychic. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the para to try and get some good Wrap Chip going. This full para means I don't take Seismic Toss Chip, which is good in case he has Dugtria. He's going to use this. I'm going to go ahead and use the safety of my Hypno here to go ahead and just get some wraps going. Thankfully, this is a 4-turn wrap, which means I can pivot into a Persian for free. So I just get free Slash. This is the game conditioning I was talking about earlier, because he knows that, see, he sees this, and he countered. Because if you remember last time, he Earthquaked here, and I was going for that again, or he could have Body Slammed. He counters this time, because he knows I'm not counter checking, because no one's been running counter for a while. So this is pretty bad, because now my 2 sleepers are slept or dead. Tentacruel, just gonna Wrap Pivot, switches out so he doesn't take a bunch of chip. Brings it back because this is the best thing to take on Tentacruel, is your own Tentacruel. Notice he did what I said earlier, where the older players like to trade Wrap instead of trading Blizzard. But yeah, I'm going to bring in Hypno, try to burn some more sleep turns, don't get too much chip on my Tentacruel. Punishes it with an aggressive Persian, which is annoying because Haunter was who I wanted to be blocking Persian with. Instead, I have Aerodactyl, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and aggressively Electabuzz, because I was thinking he was going to Thunderbolt here, and then I could threaten with T-Wave. Instead he goes Gyarados, which makes sense, because if I Fire Blast or Double Edge, it's going to tank it pretty well. But this is a good position for me, like kind of an accidental really good switch, because now I threaten it with Stab T-Bolt. Free damage versus Hypno. I'm just going to switch in this. I wake up, which is great, so I can apply some Seismic Toss Chip. So now this Gyarados is in range of both Persian T-Bolt and Electabuzz T-Bolt, and also takes a lot more damage from Tentacruel Blizzard, which is great. This is basically a dead Gyarados. We see it here. Nothing you can really switch in reliably. Gonna bring in this to force it out. I'm gonna let my Electabuzz take T-Wave here, because it's my least valuable offensive threat right now. Because this can take Body Slams really well, and Persian is the best offensive threat in the tier, because it deals so much damage to everything consistently. So Electabuzz is what I want to take Para here. And I do need Tentacruel to take on this reliably, because this can't switch in very well. So I'm going to use this to take on Hypno. He's going to rest. This is fine, because I can't reliably keep resting. This is good. This dies to Double Edge now from Arrow. So yeah, we can see here, now that Kadabra and Hypno both in Double Edge range, this is really safe for me. Hypno's dead. Got 4 rounds to go. Tentacruel. Bring up my own Tentacruel, because they can trade now. I'm going to Freeze War. He's going to go for a Wrap because he has 2 things to outspeed. Bring an Arrow so my Tentacruel doesn't get too chipped, in case I need to take on Kangaskhan. I'm going to Hyper Beam, pray for a crit. Either way it's going to die to either of these. I don't get the crit. So Persian comes in. It's going to go to Slash for free. Nothing can tank it. I'm going to go and bring in Tentacruel, because I'm going to need this healthy to take on the rest. It's going to Hyper Beam here. This loses in the game, because Tentacruel kills this for free here. This trades. Now it's going to be a speed tie. Whoever wins this, if I win this, I guarantee KO the Kadabra. If he wins this, he wins. We trade Slash. So turn 49, speed tie. I end up winning the speed tie, so I win the set. So while there definitely was some bad RNG for Torchic, like if he won turn 49 alone, he would have won the set. I made some good plays. He definitely made some more bad plays than my good plays. But I do think it is interesting to look at, because a lot of these plays are stuff I feel like would be common mistakes, and end up coming up a lot that some people maybe would learn from. So that's going to be it. I'm probably going to cover RBYPL NU sets in the future of Kaitis, Anagami, and Serpy, so keep on the lookout if you're interested in those.